Here we go. I really hope that this is the thumbnail, because this is a really cool picture. Okay, now, let me tell you guys a story of how I met Kevin Nash. I met Kevin Nash the same place where I met Shane Helms, which I remember when WWE came down for WrestleMania. It seemed like all the professional wrestlers came down for WrestleMania too, because there was, of course, WrestleMania fan access, but there was also professional wrestlers or former professional wrestlers that would come down for WrestleMania. At least to my knowledge they do. And at least one person was Kevin Nash, and I was really happy to find out that Shane Helms was going to be there as well. So I remember thinking to myself, you know, I'm not really a huge... I'm a Kevin Nash fan, but I'm not the biggest Kevin Nash fan of all time. I just remember, like, he seems like a cool dude. But then I noticed that Shane Helms was going to be there. I was like, oh man, if Shane Helms is going to be there, I got to go to this party. It's called the Shenanigans World Order Party. Some of you probably have heard of it. But I remember there was a time that I almost got powerbombed, possibly by Kevin Nash, because what happened was, and I didn't do this on purpose, of course, it was honestly an accident, but what happened was I was enjoying talking to Shane Helms, and then finally Kevin Nash came to the party and made his presence known, which everybody was applauding for him, including me. But I was already enjoying myself because I was having a conversation with Shane Helms, but it was Kevin Nash's turn to finally do some autographs and take pictures with his fans. And there was a guy who had me help him film his experience meeting Kevin Nash, and so the person behind me, I was like, hey, you guys could go ahead, because I got to give this young guy his camera back. So then it was finally my turn to meet Kevin Nash, and when it was finally my turn to meet Kevin Nash, I was like, hey, Mr. Nash, how you doing? He had a big smile on his face and shook my hand. And so he was signing my Shenanigans World Order little, I think, 8x10. And the guy who took the picture for me was like, hey, why don't you sit next to Kevin Nash? And so I was like, okay. So I was getting ready to sit down, and my knee hit the table, and Kevin Nash had a glass of red wine on the table, and I think my knee hit the table like 2 times, and I was like, oh God, you know, I'm so sorry. I was so lucky that that red wine didn't splash all over him, because he was wearing a nice suit. But I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and he was like, it's alright. It sounded like he was saying sorry as if to say, if push comes to shove, you could just buy me a new suit, which, like I said, you know, I'm really, really lucky because I couldn't afford to buy him a new suit. But I remember the question I had for him on the question and answer panel was, how do you feel about Razor Ramon, or what's your response to Razor Ramon being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? And my second question of the two-part question was, would you like to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame someday? And it was kind of a funny response. He was like, what is my response? I was the one who, you know, told him, I was the one that requested him to not be inducted as Razor Ramon. And then he was like, as far as wanting to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, if anybody asks me to be inducted as Diesel, I'm going to say F you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a pretty cool answer. But yeah, you know, that was a pretty... I'm just really glad I didn't spill red wine all over Kevin Nash's nice suit. And I wanted to go up to him and I wanted to say, you know, but actually I could do it right now. Mr. Nash, if you're watching this video, I'm really, really sorry I almost spilled red wine all over your suit. And thank you so much for coming to New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend. And I also wanted to say congratulations on being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and just stay well is all I can say. No, I can't do that. I'm not a member of the clique.